inside another dimension, face battling barbarians and evil magic on a quest for adventure in a maze of monsters. Once you get into it, you'll never be the same. Hero Quest. Now with 2 new adventure packs, the legend grows.
Hi, welcome back to Not Your Mother's Hobbies. So today we have something really special. It is the last of our enemies, our creatures from the core box, the Dread Sorcerer. As you can see, we have this guy done up in our normal Zenithal, and he's just ready to go. Pretty cool sculpt we got going on. Although I do like the old He-Man one from the classic. Either way, this is our last one, and then we're on to heroes. So let's get this guy painted up and finished, shall we? Let's do it. Okay, first things first, this guy's covered in a lot of robes. So we're doing this based on layout. Alright, so I got Leviathan blue here. You could use any other sort of dark gray blue for this. I toyed around actually in my head with the idea of doing it as Space Wolves gray, but I wanted to go a little bit darker. So that's why I'm using this one. You're going to go around the model and hit all of the main flappy blappy robes. That includes the one on his head. It comes a little bit down to his chest, and then his big sleeves and whatnot. You can see on the first sleeve I painted, I actually made a mistake, and we'll clean that, fix that up in the next step. But for now, just cover all the main robe in this blue color. And here we go, we're finishing up that hood. I will note that I forget the top of his head for the hood. Don't do that. I end up fixing it later, but for now, I do forget. And you're going to want to paint that. Here we go, we have Wraithbone for some cleanup. You could use Gracier if you want. It might be closer to this Zenithal that I got going on, but you've seen me do this before. Even on a darker area of Zenithal, it's not a big deal to use a brighter color as long as you blend it and take some time. So yeah, we're going to go around and we're going to fix up all our mistakes. Like on the robe wrist parts, the decorations on the edges of the sleeves, right? The part that I got kind of wrong and painted over on the first sleeve I did. We're going to go around and we're going to fix all those, touch them up. So here you can see I'm doing that on that first sleeve as well, even though it's all torn and raggedy. Just take your time, go around, fix up your mistakes, and we'll get ready for the next part.
Released, I think, about 1 million things, and this is just the latest.
Space Wolves Gray for the trim. So the trim on this, that's going to be this color. If you reference the artwork, it is this big spiky trim around the main body of the robe and the sleeves, the decorative sleeves. So just go around with this kind of blue, pale blue gray. Remember, any of the colors I'm using, I want to reiterate, any of the colors I'm using, you don't have to use the exact ones. Alright, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, use the next best thing. Use the next closest one. Or use what I'm doing as a way to identify where you're going to do different colors. Just have fun with it. Okay, we're going to use Volupus Pink. Now, I don't actually have a purple contrast, and I wanted an interesting way to do purple, and I love this Volupus Pink color. I use it on a lot of stuff all the time, especially like sword hilts and stuff, little decorative pieces. So I love using this color, and I'm going to use it for an interesting way to do the purple on his robes. So we're going to do that main bit in the middle, and then some of these little in-between bits on the jewelry and whatnot. I mean, we did do some cleanup, so you could try to be really precise. You could do this before you do the cleanup. It's up to you. Either way, just go around and you're going to put it on this kind of decorative chest piece that he's got going on, as well as that inner robe. we're going to use this purple shade here to add some purple. It's going to tint what we have, as well as add into the recesses a nice dark shade. So we're going to use that for all of the pink parts that we did, as well as the main body of the robe. We're going to do a little bit of tinting like this. So basically anywhere that you painted Leviathan blue and the Volupus pink. Now we did come around and do that Space Wolves gray. You could do this in a completely different order if you're not kind of trusting your brush skills. You could definitely do the inner and outer robes first and then touch up that Space Wolves gray trim area with the Wraithbone and then go over it with Space Wolves gray. You could do that completely out of order if you're much more comfortable that way. We have a dry brush of Gray Seer all around. Gray Seer is like a cool gray. It's a lot less harsh than maybe some of the grays or whites that you're used to me using. Just like the Dread Warrior capes, I wanted to do a sort of subtle yet poppy highlight. So that's why I chose to just do this. But what you could do is just like those abominations, you could go over this with the tint of the Druchii Violet or something else and tint it to give you a cool colored highlight if you wanted that. But I wanted this subtle gray. I thought it gave him like a cool, ashy, dead vibe. Alright, next we're doing basically everything else. Everything else. All the decorations on them. So we're using this Gorgrunta, a warm reddish brown. You could use a red if you want. In the artwork it's very red. But we're going to do these little medallions in that color. And then go in with our metallic gold blocking like we usually do. So anything that's going to be gold, which is all the trim, and his little necklaces and stuff, and his crown, etc., we're going to do with this Guilliman flesh. Now you will see that I break up the staff. I'm not going to do the whole staff gold. I want to break it up and add some more interest to the model. And you'll see what I do there. So just follow along if you want to see where I'm painting the staff as gold and not gold. If you want to do that too. Otherwise, you can cover the whole staff, just like the artwork, in this Guilliman flesh, and then do the gold on it. Up to you. And here you can see that I've probably broken up the staff. It's basically all the twisty bits are separate. And then when that's dry, just go back over it with our gold. We're going to start putting that gold actually in there. So just do that. Everything that we just blocked in, paint it over with gold. Good old gloss flesh shade for some extra depth and shine. And again, just go over everything you did gold. And lastly, we're going to do our chrome. You could, if you want, go back and touch up some of the Retributor armor if you wanted to make that gold a bit brighter. I like the darkness we got going on. This guy is a Dark Sorcerer, so I did not bother doing a mid-tone gold back up. and instead went straight to the chrome dotting. So just go around, picking out those pings and highlights, breaking up the detail in here, and adding some interest with your chrome highlights. But also, don't forget that we have these little medallion things in the front, and we can break up the interest in the front here too by using the chrome to paint those little connector things. And that'll also add some visual interest and break up the front of the model. Everything else. Okay, so we're going to start with the staff. So some more changes for that staff. We're using Skeleton Horde for these kind of scrolly looking bone parts. There's two of them. There's one where he's grabbing, and there's one at the bottom. So those parts we're going to do Skeleton Horde because we're going to make them bony. Black Templar just for the whole post, I guess, the rest of the pole of the staff. You could do a brown. A brown might stick out a bit more. So it all depends on what kind of look you want. Alright, Hexwraith Flame. This is a kind of interesting green. It used to be a technical paint. It's now a contrast paint. So maybe easier to get. We're going to put that on all the skin parts. And then coming back in with Wraithbone, we're going to make that just like all of our bone stuff when we have skulls and other stuff like that. We're going to come in on those Skeleton Horde parts and make them look like bone. Leviathan Blue. Okay, this is kind of interesting. I thought the front little skirt part was a little bland, and just like we did on the Dread Warriors, I'm doing a kind of burnt-ish look. But because we're using the Leviathan Blue, it's going to look less like charred stuff and more like faded, rotted, and it's going to match color-wise to everything else. I also used it to outline and separate some of the details down there because they got a little lost, like the little medallions. Gray Seer for the skin. Just our first layer up for the skin. We're doing it as like a pale, kind of ghosty look. Undead flesh.
I find myself just missing you. I find myself just.
Oh man, you know, whatever though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And Pallid Witch for an extra highlight. So just go around and just like we would on any other skin, we're going to use this Pallid Witch as an extra little ping highlight for all our topmost parts. So the chin, the cheekbones, little nose part. By the way, if you end up painting over the little nose, you can just take a little tiniest little dab of that Hexwraith and dot it in. Just dot it in. I did that myself. I painted over the nose by accident as I was highlighting. There's a little too much paint on my brush. And I had to go back in with that Hexwraith and just take a tiny little dot and put it into that nose hole. Then we're going to do Mechanicus Standard Gray for our basing. We're basically done here. This guy, he's got such little basing area, we don't need to put any texture on there. You could if you want, but I chose not to. There's not a lot of space for it. So just go around, be careful, and outline his little skirt. Agrax Earthshade on top, and just dab and spatter on some dry brush. Just stab it and stipple it. It'll give texture. Alright, here, we're done. Look at that guy. All finished up. Pretty simple. For somebody that's got a lot of detail, there actually wasn't a lot of steps to do. There wasn't a lot of difficulty and a lot going on in terms of the process. He Here we go, the same kind of color treatment for the alternate sculpt if you've got it. If you don't got it, hey, this is how you could do this kind of color breakout on, I don't know, another miniature you have, right? You can recycle these same colors and use it on something else. It's going to look just as cool. But there you go. That's the alternate and the original. And that's the last monster or villain or bad guy or whatever you want to say from the core box. All finished. Every guy is done. We're on to the home stretch. This is it. We're doing the fun stuff now. We ate all our vegetables and we're into the dessert. And here we go, showing what's up. The winner of the poll, the Barbarian. They will be the first mini we paint. With that, we end this big section. We're done. Paint's up on the screen. If you enjoyed what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you got criticism, etc., give me that thumbs down. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you did like, if you liked it. I mean, a positive reinforcement, right? That affirmation. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon. Let me know how your Hero Quest painting journey is going yourself. Let me know what you're painting. How far are you? Are you following along and caught up? Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.